Hi there, this is Marty from owingsart.com, and thank you for stopping by today as we take a look at these CraftyCroc liquid-based liquid chalk markers. These are non-toxic, water-based markers, as I mentioned, and they come 10 to a pack, and these are great for kids or adults, and we'll take a look at that today. I'll try some artistic projects, and I'll also put these markers in the hand of a 10-year-old and see how he does with them. One of the things I really like about these CraftyCroc markers right off the bat is that if you lose the box where the instructions are printed on, each marker has the instructions printed right on them. So there's no danger of forgetting, how to use them or apply them or whatnot. But the instructions are pretty simple with these. They're not very complicated at all. When you're going to use it for the first time, you've got to shake these a little bit to get the pressure built up and the liquid moving around in them. And then once you've shaken them, hold the marker tip facing up and then gently press the tip to release pressure. Then before each use, just make sure the cap is on these so they don't dry up. And then press the tip just for a few seconds until it fills up with ink on your surface, and then you can just begin writing. So these are some of the surfaces that I'm going to test out today, including a painted surface, that tin pan I just showed you, this tile right here, this gray tile, and that piece of plywood. But I think the first thing we should try is glass. Glass is a pretty great surface for these particular markers. Another thing I just add that, this would be great for just writing messages on like the window or your bathroom mirror or any kind of mirrored surface, your microwave door cover or your oven or whatever in your home. And because they clean up so nicely, and we'll get to that later. So I'm going to demonstrate here on the glass all of the markers that come in the set, and you can see how nicely they just put down color on this really non-porous surface of glass. So you couldn't do these. You couldn't do this well with, for instance, another type of marker where you're going to have like streaks or it's just not going to catch on the surface. But they're chalky, so they're kind of made for this, and they dry pretty quickly as well. So they go on a little wet, and the color will change slightly as they dry, but that's to be expected. And so there you can see how bright and vibrant the colors are. And lettering is like super easy with these. There's a chiseled end, and there's also a rounded end to the tips if you swap them out, which is pretty cool. And inside the box that you buy, it comes with some spare nibs, so you can just swap them out as you need them. So, like I can imagine, you're doing signage or something for whatever purpose you have. It's just so easy to write with these and to get rid of whatever you don't want, that these would really come in handy for that kind of application as well. And just fun things you could do around your own home. Speaking of that, I'm going to try a couple of other things here and some holiday themed decorations and whatnot here on different surfaces in the video. But so far I'm really liking the way this works on glass and how it comes out and the flexibility you have with these. Matter of fact, you can go in and blend these a little bit as well. If you catch it while it's still a little wet, you can even get color blending going, which is something that surprised me with these markers. So here I'm just going to add a little green tail here for decoration, and yeah, that's about as far as I want to go on the glass surface. So next I thought I would try to take these markers and draw on some sheet metal, and this is basically just a baking pan. It's the only sheet metal I had laying around, but I thought since it's a baking pan, why not draw some cookies or something fun here. So got the idea to draw a gingerbread man and maybe a moose and a couple other things, and just wanted to get a sense of how these markers work on the surface. And you can see they go down really nice. They dry slightly on this, at least on the metal surface here, they dry slightly darker than they go down, which I happen to like. I think that's great. There's also some blendability here. You can do some blending if you catch it, like I said, while it's still wet. But once it's dry, if you're careful with the marker, you can go over the top and add color as well, and I'll show you that in a second. The other thing to watch out for is don't press too hard when you're on a particular surface, and you've already laid down color, because you can just, it'll sort of lift the color right off the surface if you press too hard. I figured that out after a little while using these, but pretty easy if you're careful and you let things dry a little bit. They go down nice, and you can see that here where I'm just applying color on top of color, and layering really is no problem as long, again, as you give it a chance to dry a little bit. And here we go. I thought I'd give a shot at drawing a pumpkin, and I'll admit to all my viewers and everybody watching that I'm not the world's most crafty guy. So when it comes to craft decorations and things like that, you know, that's really not my forte. I'm sure there are people that are tons better at it. Matter of fact, I drew this pumpkin like a basketball with a green string on it. I went back and tried to clean it up a little bit later and make it look a little bit more realistic. But anyway, you get the point, and I wanted to move on, so that's just what I did. Moving over to the tile now. Now this tile is, you can get different types of tile, obviously, and not that you're going to necessarily draw on pieces of tile, but you could do a decoration on a floor or a side of a wall that had tile or whatever. Just wanted to prove that that this would work on another different non-porous type of surface. And one thing I discovered while I was using these CraftyCroc markers on this was that if you get it at the right moment, you can really drag and move the paint around with your finger, which can make for some interesting designs. Now you can see in the bow, there's some shadows underneath, and all that was done by just adding a little bit of brown color and then pulling that color in or out, or pushing it with my finger. So if you get in the right time, and while they're still a little wet, you can really add some really cool, nice effects here. Now this is going to be just kind of a little Christmas decoration, a bow with some pine needles and ornaments here, but you can see how the red just pops there on this tile, and maybe it's because the tile is just a little bit gray or what have you, but I really like the way the colors lay down on this particular surface. And you can see here as I just fill in the ornaments, it just boom, jumps right out at you. And all the colors are sort of bright and vivid like that. So here I'm just going to add some more green for the pine here, so it looks more like the ornaments are hanging there. And then you can see right here, you can use a very sharp, the edge of the marker, and it works great, or you can use the flat end of it, and it makes a really big bold mark as well. And so I decided to, right in the middle of this thing, well, okay, this could be done right here, but I'd like to add some lettering using the flat side of the markers, and so I'll go ahead and do that in a second. But you can see here where I'm pushing and pulling some of the color with the marker itself. So here's an interesting effect you can get too, is if you do push too hard on the marker, it will remove the paint. And if the color underneath is the color you want to expose on the surface or bring forward, you could just do that. You could just rub out a little bit of the color. You could use a paper towel, the edge of the marker, a paper stump that you use for blending or anything like that. Even the edge of a credit card to get some really cool effects. So here I'm just going to add in some lettering to sort of complete this little project. Just adding some final touches here on the lettering, but I just had a lot of fun doing this little decoration, and you know, these markers are just really versatile. You talk about whatever surface you want to put these on. Um, as long as it's non-porous, they're going to wipe right off. We'll get to that in a little bit, but I just was really happy about the way this came out. And the colors, you know, like if you make a mistake with these, you just go in and wipe it out and do it over. Not a big deal. So here's wood, which is a more porous surface than say tile or glass or metal. So I wanted to give these a try on a wood surface, and again, you know, sticking with sort of the Christmas decor theme and then building on what I learned about these markers already is that you could pull the color. You can see where I did it right there, but I wanted to try it here as well just to see how they go down on maybe a lighter wood surface like pine. Here, so you can imagine if you go to the hardware store and, you know, sometimes in the scrap bin at your big box, there's just these pieces of wood, and you could just decorate them and maybe put them in your yard or wherever you wanted to by your front door. And it's just kind of an inexpensive way to have create a fun little project, and maybe if you have kids, they could help out as well. And here I'll just finish up this lettering and be done with this piece, but a couple of remarks about the wood surface. Now, if I made a mistake on these wood surfaces, this wood surface and caught it before the paint was dry, I was able really to remove it very easily. But once it's dry, it's not going to come off a porous surface as easy as it does a non-porous surface. So just be aware of that. Make sure you test that out. Now, how well does stuff come off? Well, right now you can see this is basically a slightly damp paper towel that I'm using here. It's just fold it up and you wipe it right away, and it comes off just that easily. So you know, the claim that these wipe off without any problem is very true. Very easy to remove any of the paint that's on a non-porous surface like this metal. Now, this is a painted surface I did, and I used them on here, and it got rid of most of the color except for the white. Now again, CraftyCroc doesn't claim you could be able to use this on and not have it be permanent on a non-porous surface, so it did exactly what I expected it to do. So here on the glass, it comes off just even easier. So if you give your kids these markers and they write on the wall, as long as you don't have like chalky walls or a flat paint surface, it should come right off really easily. Matter of fact, I've got some semi-gloss painted surfaces around the house here, and I'm not afraid at all to give these markers to my kids, and you know, I'm not really worried about it. I think it'll come right up, at least as far as I can tell from the test here. Again, wipes right off very nicely off this tile surface, and just excellent you know, cleanup, no problem at all. And there's no soap or water involved here. This is just a damp paper towel. The bottom line is CraftyCroc says they clean up really nice, and they clean up really nice. So I don't think you have to be worried about using these on any non-porous surface. Well, now it's time to put these CraftyCroc markers in the hands of a 10-year-old. All right, let's see what Ethan can do with these CraftyCroc markers and see what he has to say about them.
Oh, my name's Ethan from owingsart.com, and today I'm gonna talk about the CraftyCroc and my impressions. So first off, I would like to tell you it's fun to draw, and their colors are bright, which means it's fun once again, and they're like good for kids for my age. The markers cap goes on and off easily, and the colors are bright, which is nice, and they're fun. For my first project, I'm gonna draw a turkey. So what I'm doing right now is drawing the body, the turkey's body, and now it's time-lapsed to not, well, it's time-lapse because I don't want anyone waiting. And now I'm drawing the head. I just drew the mouth, and now I'm making the rest of the body. And I'm making the legs and the feet. There you go. And now I'm making a hat because turkeys are supposed to have hats. And there's his googly eyes, and there's his feathers. And there you go. Now I'm drawing the lines to show for the turkey colors of the feathers. And now I'm drawing more lines for the colors of the turkey. So I wonder what this turkey's name will be called. Tippy? Yes. I wonder what you eat for Thanksgiving because we eat lots of stuff. Lots of yummy stuff. Maybe after when you have your Thanksgiving dinner, maybe you perhaps watch football like I do. Well, for us, we do watch football after Thanksgiving, but sometimes we go on a walk or we eat the leftovers in the afternoon. Sometimes we like to play cards and games, but do you like to play cards and games? So now I'm just about finishing up. I just need to color in the turkey feathers and color in the black hat. So I'm just about done with the turkey. I love these CraftyCroc markers. I hope I can use these again. I like drawing on this glass material, but I would also like to draw on Dad's good stuff like his car, his tools, and his garage.
Well, thanks for stopping by today as we took a look at these CraftyCroc liquid chalk markers. Ethan and I just had a blast using these, and you can imagine all the projects and fun you can have with your kids or even just yourself, or give them to your kids and let them have a great time as well. If you want more information about CraftyCroc and these markers, check the links in the description of this video. There's more information to be found there. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel, leave a question or comment if you have them. I always love to respond to those. And it's just been a great time taking a look at these today. All right, for owingsart.com, this has been Marty and Ethan. So long, everybody.